Hey guys, Sor here, and welcome back to another video. So it's been a while, but there's this video that I've been waiting forever to do now. Didn't quite get around to it until now, but now since there's coronavirus and there's not too much to do, I thought I'll go through with you guys my Dragon Links deck that I played in real life before this coronavirus happened. Keep in mind, this is my list. Is it optimal? No. Is it the most competitive version? Definitely not. This is more of a meme deck, to be totally honest. I actually think it does quite well against a lot of meta decks, which is why I play it. But this is not the best deck to play if you're going to play in a big tournament or something like that. This is really just something that you want to play at locals, maybe even regionals. It can definitely win your games, but don't expect this to be the best deck to play in the format. But anyway, with that disclaimer out of the way, it is Dragon Links and we are using the Crusadia engine. So let's get the Crusadia part of the main deck out of the way. We're running 3 Draco, 3 Leonis, 3 Maximus, 2 Arborea. Sorry, you can't see that. You can't see the Arborea. But yeah. And literally the only reason why I'm playing 2 Arborea, not 3, is I couldn't find my third one. I actually have no idea where it went. But other than that, you should definitely run Reclusia instead of Leonis, because Reclusia actually does something. You know, it actually has text, whereas Leonis doesn't. Yeah, whoops. Yeah. Other than that, there's not too much to say about the Crusader package. Sorry about this, guys. Right, sorry. Anyway, back to the video. Yeah, that's literally everything for the Crusadia package. I'm running 11 Crusadias. Should really be 12, and I'll show you guys what I replaced the third Arborea with later. Anyway, moving on, we have the rocket package. I was running 2 Tracer, 1 Magna, 1 Silver Rocket, but the Silver Rocket thing isn't really worth it anymore, I feel. Rocket Recharger feels nicer to play, and that's why I went with 1 Recharger instead of 2 1 Magna and Silver each. Anyway, and to round it off, an Absol Ruder to dump off of any kind of Footlish effect. Alright. Moving on, we got the Baby Dragon Chaos Dragons. You're playing Dragon Links, you know what they do. Let's move on. Right, anyway. So then the Power 1-ofs. We're playing Tempest, Red MD, Galactic Spiral. Does this count as a Power 1-off? Probably not, but this is what I replaced the third Arborea with. It's literally just a free summon. Arborea is better, but he's kind of funny, because you just drop this and your opponent regrets playing against you because you still lose and you just played a card garbage in his name and you beat him. But anyway, so those are the ones. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. And we got a Morphish Goliath to summon off of Heavenly Spheres. And then we have Shadow Scar Dragon and a Vanilla to go with it. The reason why I'm playing these is the variant I'm playing relies quite heavily on getting the tuner out. You do need a tuner, and with the Red MD errata, you will need something like this, because you can't just spam Red MD and summon Tracer back 1,000 times. That's why I went with Shadow Scar Dragon and Serpent. So if you already have access to Galactic Spiral, you can use this, dump these two with either Dragon Shrine, or just dump Serpent and bring it back with Pisty, and you can still get full combo that way. So that's really nice. And that's it for the monsters, apart from the hand traps. There you go, hand traps. Ash is pretty self-explanatory. DD Crow, Call by the Grave is 100% better. I just don't have them, so I can't show you them, but run Call by the Grave instead of DD Crow is a combo deck. Call by the Grave is insane. Anyway, for the spells, we have 3 Quick Launch to go along with the rocket stuff, 3 Dragon Shrine, 1 Ravine, 1 Terraforming, and 1 Foolish Burial. So, Quick Launch, it's pretty self-explanatory. You special summon some stuff out, and these are your foolish effects. You can drop the Terraforming, I feel, if you're running Dragoonly Knight Romulus. I do not have that card, so I'm running Terraforming instead. I think 6 foolish cards are pretty reasonable. Essentially, you have 7 ways and 7 cards that get you to Galactic Spiral, and you do need to get to Galactic Spiral in this deck. If you don't, then you end on very poor boards. Anyway, lastly, the power winners, Monster Reborn and War Legacy God Dragon. I actually cut this card for the longest time. For one, it didn't really feel like to me it was too budget of a card, because I think it was something like 10 or 12 quid a card when I got it. But I just think this card's really good, especially if you can afford more than 1 copy. I pulled this from a pack, by the way. I think is on the channel actually, the pack that I pulled Legacy God Dragon from, so go check that out if you want to. But this card's really good. Like, honestly, it's better than Monster Reborn. I really think it's better than Monster Reborn. Just actually having 2 pieces of text on it instead of 1 is surprisingly good. What you do is this plays around disruption a lot, because it lets you, so if they imperm Sparfa, for example, you can be like, yo, I don't care, Legacy God Dragon, move it, YOLO, right? And you can still Monster Reborn most of your deck, because, level 4 or lower dragons is most of your deck. And I put in actual Monster Reborn because I don't have a second one of these. If I had a second one of these, this should be another Legacy God Dragon. And finally, the final card in the main deck is Double or Nothing, because, spoiler alert, we are playing Utopia Double. I'm actually thinking of dropping the Utopia Double, because our game plan is slightly different from normal Dragon Links, and I'll explain why once I show you guys the spice in the extra deck. So anyway, we're going to start off with the links. We got Magius and Sparfa for the Crusader stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll do a quick demonstration combo for you guys in a bit afterwards. We got the God Dragon, LP and Pisty. And then spice number 1, Proxy Dragon. I'll explain how you use that in a second. And then Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, because you're playing Dragon Links. Every Dragon Link has this card, is really good. And then we have Sayuja. It's Sayuja, every deck plays it basically. Abomination, and I'll also explain this in a little bit. And then we have Borrelsword Dragon for either going second, or you're unable to, your opponent doesn't concede immediately, so you actually have to kill him. And then you have F8 Dawn Dragster, which is is a spell trap negate. I actually don't summon this very often, but it does come up sometimes, so that's the only reason why I keep it in the deck. Scarlight for some removal options, and there's a level 8 Synchro. Is Borrelord Savage better? Maybe, but this card's 50p and Borrelord Savage is not, so I play this card instead of Borrelord Savage. And then the spice of the deck, Phantasmal Lord Ultimaya Bishbalkin, and damn, is that a hard name to say. And this is basically the centerpiece of the deck, and basically what it does is summons lots of tokens. I'll explain a little bit more in depth in the combo breakdown in a second. Right, and then we have Utopia and Utopia Double for the OTK. Interestingly enough, if you don't find the Galactic Spiral, what you can do is you can just raw summon Utopia Double, because the effect to summon Utopia on top of it is actually a quick effect. So what you can do is you can use this as a form of disruption. You can go Utopia Double, detach, summon Utopia, you get a dead card out of your deck, and Utopia technically has 2 attack negates, so On some rare occasions that might save you, that's another thing to keep in mind. Next, we've got Abyss Dweller because Adamantipator and Eldritch exist. And then we got Lancelot, the Dark Knight of the Underworld. You might have noticed that this is not Hope Harbinger. This is not the Agate, Hope Harbinger isn't. Also, it can attack directly, which is actually the major thing here, surprisingly enough. I'll explain that in a little bit, once again. Alright, so that's the main and extra deck. The side deck, I could just show you some generic Dark Ruler, No More, Nibiru, or whatever. But I'll show you what I actually play instead of those rather expensive cards, actually, because I think both Dark Ruler and Nibiru are like 6 to 10 quid each, so I don't really consider those cards as budget enough for this video, because this video is supposed to be a budget list. We're running... oh, whoops, I didn't even explain it. Right, we're running 3 Ancient Warrior Loyal Guardian. Is literally a slightly worse Pancratops. What I mean by that is level 7. The summoning condition is basically the same. You still have a pop effect. It doesn't have to tribute yourself with a pop, but it does need your opponent to control more monsters, which against things like Adamantipator isn't too hard. Is this better than Pancratops? No. But Pancratops is at 1 and this card isn't. So there's that. And then we got actual Pancratops. These are all for going second, obviously. So 4 Pancratops essentially. There's that. And then we got 3 Droll. This was better like one format ago. It's not as good now, but I haven't changed my deck. I haven't changed my list really, apart from taking out some banned cards, aka the shooter. But apart from that, the side deck hasn't been changed, so you're gonna see a lot of weird choices here. Another weird choice, Effect Veiler. Run Imperm. Literally run Imperm. Imperm's better than this. But Veiler's a lot cheaper than Imperm, even with the reprint. Veiler's something like 50p, I think. Imperm should at least be like 6 to 10 still. So I'm running Effect Veiler because it's much cheaper. Twin Twisters, these you can pick up now, very cheap. They come in, I think, 2 structure decks now, so that's why it's very cheap. Twin Twisters is just some back row hate. Raigeki, because you can't afford Lightning Storm. And Mind Control, I used to run 2, only run 1 now because of the ban list. Another Go second card. And some more back row hate. This is a spicy one. Triangle Ecstasy Spark. So, you can, in a more back row heavy metagame, so say if Ultra Guys was tier 0 or some crap, run 3 Ecstasy Spark instead of the Veiler, run Red Reboot instead of the Mind Control, and, you know, run a card called Legacy of the Duelist. If I was a cool YouTuber, I'd have it like pop up on the screen right now, but I'm not, so you guys just have to look it up on Google. Basically, it says no traps, lol. But anyway, so that's a side deck, and that's everything actually. So I'm gonna do a quick demonstration combo, and most of the time, any Crusadia plus Expander is full combo. Depending on what you draw off a Sayuja, it sometimes isn't. But we won't worry too much about that. So I'll show you guys the combo with 2 cards, and hopefully we don't get dicked on. But yeah, anyway, we need an extender. What extender should we go for? It doesn't actually matter what this is, so I'll just go for like a Leonis or something. And I'll actually give this a shuffle. This deck is probably going to be shuffled horribly, because I put in order for the video. But anyway, so how do you play this deck? Well, it's a Crusadia combo, so you start off with normal summoning anything, and then you link it off for Magius. And then you special summon Leonis onto the Magius zone. Magius effects is going to search Draco. Yeah, they're literally all in order. Let me just... give it another shuffle. Alright, so then this is added to hand, obviously, Draco. You always search Draco for Magius unless you already have it, then you can search Arborea because it's a tuner. Anyway, so you link off the Leonis and the Magius, and then we're gonna go for a Sparfa summon. And then you're gonna summon Draco into the zone. Don't activate Sparfa, activate Draco effect to add back whichever Crusadia monster that you didn't use the effect on, if you have the option to do so. So this is just +1 extender because we haven't used Maximus effects yet, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to link off Draco for an LP. Here is where you actually play... Actually, let me just move this to the center a little bit. Here's where you actually use the Sparfa effect to move LP, so that LP and Sparfa are putting in this middle zone here. And then LP is going to still summon Red MD. A lot of people are going to question why. The real reason why is because Red MD is such a strong card still. Even if you can't use the effect more than once, it's still a +1. It just means you can't keep looping it, which honestly I think is a fine change. I actually don't have any problem with that. So anyway, so you summon LP, I mean summon Tracer, and you make a copy of format Sayuja. There's a Sayuja, and then you draw the 4 cards. We drew Galactic Spiral off the top. Remember, literally any. Okay, this deck is clearly not shuffled. I'll just show you guys now. I drew 3 Ash Bottoms. Obviously, I'm gonna take the Galactic Spiral. But just keep in mind that this combo is actually more consistent than it seems. Especially if you have Romulus. Definitely include Romulus if you have it. But I don't have it, so there's only 7 ways in this deck to get the Sparrow Dragon. Sparrow Dragon itself is obviously an option. And we've bricked slightly, I feel, because we don't actually have a way to get to Pisty. What we actually need is a Dragon Extender instead of Maximus. What Maximus does is literally nothing right now that I think about it. So let me just see if I can find a Dragon Extender here. So say you had, I don't know, actually it doesn't even have to be an extender, it just can be any dragon. So say if you had, I don't know, Galaxy Serpent in your hand or something. Doesn't really matter, because you can summon it from your hand with Sayuja. So you just summon it with Sayuja, and then Maximus can be special summoned to a Link Zone. And then you actually don't even have to go into Pisty here, so you can save that for a future date. Though technically Pisty will give you an extender, so you should probably do it anyway, actually. So we're going to link off Galaxy Serpent. Make sure you do this after you summon the Maximus, otherwise you can't summon the Maximus. Anyway, so you grab the Pisty, and then Pisty is going to bring back any Dragon Tuner. And then because you control blah 2 light or dark dragons, you can summon Galactic Spiral. I ran out of room here on the cam, but you can just about see it. And then you can use the effect to make everything level 8. At which point you can go for a nice summon of Bishbalkin. And make sure that is under one of the extra monster zones. I'll explain why that's very important in a second. Next, you are going to link off Pisty and Sayuja for a Heavenly Spheres. And remember, we still have this extra material, although you don't actually need it. And this is the bit where Bishbalkin can actually summon 3 tokens on both sides of the player's field. Because what Bishbalkin does is it summons as many tokens as possible in the main monster zones. But an equal amount on both players' fields. Essentially, if your opponent has 1 zone and you have 3 zones, you still only can summon one, because otherwise it wouldn't be an equal amount if you summon any more, because your opponent can't have any more than one token. So because we're 3 zones, we can summon 3, and here's where Proxy Dragon comes in. You're gonna link off Galactic Spiral and Proxy Dragon. Galactic Spiral and one of the tokens to summon Proxy Dragon. And you're wondering, why would you do that? Why would you not just go into like link 4 or something? Well, the reason is we're gonna summon Abomination, and Abomination actually has to include a link monster in the summon, which is why we get Proxy Dragon is a generic link 2, and it actually has text on it. If they for some reason, like, I don't know, in Proxy Dragon, I don't know. Anyway, so this is the end board. You got Spheres, Bishbalkin, Abomination. Despite me having to fiddle with the deck to actually get the combo, it is actually rather consistent, because normally in the game with Yu-Gi-Oh! You have 5 cards in your hand to begin with, not 2. But yeah, anyway. So this is the end board. What happens now is you pass turn, and then you can do this in standby phase if you want to. You can go Heavenly Spheres to to bounce in the standby phase, so you don't get main phase prioritied, because they can like link off in as soon as they start main phase 1. But if they can't do that, you should save Heavenly Spheres until the main phase. So once they enter the main phase, they normal summon, they activate a card, they do anything, chain Heavenly Spheres as chain link 1 to tribute, and then chain Bishbalkin as chain link 2, because you have 3 zones, but the opponent only has 2, or 1 in some cases if they've normal summoned. Their board's going to be full of tokens. And when Heavenly Spheres resolves as chain link 1, you summon Goliath, which is basically the poor man's Buster Lock, to be honest. Anyway, so you summon Goliath. What this does is it blocks the extra deck, unless they somehow have a Morphage monster or something. And then, actually, you're supposed to bounce with Heavenly Spheres first, but whatever, doesn't really matter. And then these 2 zones will be tokens over here, the ones that you can't see. And this is what you end up with: an extra deck lock, a beefy boy, and an Abomination. And at the end phase, what you want to do is you want to trigger Abomination's effects to pop your own Goliath, so you can summon on your own turn. And why I say it's important to summon Bishbalkin under one of the extra monster zones, I don't have it, but there is a card called Pentastag. That is a way that you can really easily out the tokens on your opponent's board and killing them in the process, because it gives your Bishbalkin piercing. And that's really how you win with this deck. Otherwise, a little bit difficult, admittedly. If you didn't use if you didn't use Galactic Spiral Dragon's effect to special summon itself, is not banished. So if it's not banished, then you can use Spiral Dragon's effect to recur itself, and you can make a rank 8 and go into the Lancelot, and you can just kind of slowly punch them to death, because this card can attack directly. So that's another way that you can win. If you don't have either of those outs, then it's slightly difficult, but Abomination helps out a lot when trying to clear things, because it just destroys no matter what happens. Like, if it can't destroy by card effect, it destroys. If it can't destroy by battle, it destroys. So it's fairly easy to kill your opponent, hopefully. And yeah, and oh yeah, small little thing that I forgot to mention. Bishbalkin gains 1,000 for every monster on board, which is why you can OTK your opponent with Pentastag, because this card should be at minimum on 8,000 or 9,000. So that's why you can OTK really easily, and that's how you use it. Is this better than the negate board? Sometimes, yes. But I think in terms of in general, the negate board is probably more consistently winning games. But this is very fun when you pull it off. It's really nice. Just hope your opponent doesn't know Super Poly. But then you're playing Dragon Links, so I'm assuming that you're kind of prepared to get Super Polyed. Anyway, that's about it. Sorry this video took so long and is actually so long. I wanted to show off the combo because I think this is like one of these decks where it's a little bit difficult to figure out how to play and what to end on by just looking at it. So I just want to give you guys a little demonstration about how the deck works. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video, probably in a Neptunia stream, who knows. Bye bye.